What's up, everybody? It's Chad again. We're back with another episode of Ask Chad Grassy Logic. Today, I'm with my homie Cozy Boy Rolling here. Thank you for joining me today.
Anytime.
Yeah. I'm glad that you're here. I asked Cozy Boy pretty much asked me to be on the show, and I was like, hell yeah, let's do this. I really wanted to have more rollers on and everything, and I told Robin Jet and those guys, or Robin.
Yeah.
Dabro, that I wanted them on too eventually. So, next season I'll probably be able to get them on.
One day.
But appreciate you coming on, man. It's been great. And we've been really busy, so it's great that we've been
super.
able to get this around our schedule, dude. It's been crazy.
Been meaning to get to it. So.
Yeah, 100%. So thank you for joining me on this episode 37 Hash Holio. We're just going to be talking about hash holes and stuff, and other roles and everything. So we'll just jump right into it. So, Cozy Boy, tell us a little bit about who you are. Where you come from, what you do in the industry, and why did you choose cannabis?
So essentially, I am a city boy from El Paso. I moved here about 7 years ago, and I've always loved cannabis ever since I was young. Since the first time I tried it when I was 14. But it wasn't until like 2, 3 years ago that I actually really started getting more serious about my rolling. And I've always wanted to be in the industry. And at first, funny enough, I wanted to be an influencer. I just never really felt comfortable in front of a camera and being around other people. Like, yeah, funny enough now.
Now look at you.
I guess it's more along the lines of like me, myself, recording myself, and like judging myself a little bit, and like knowing that like each take has to be a certain way for like, let's say I'm representing a company or something. So I feel like the route that I kind of ended up through, and it's funny enough, I got my dream job basically at the start of my cannabis career.
Yeah.
So it was kind of nice to be able to just be more authentic and like be myself instead of actually try to like be a persona on the internet. So
yeah.
Definitely grateful for the opportunity, definitely blessed and humbled knowing that anybody could do it better than me if they really wanted to. So and there are other people who do it better than me, so.
No, there's a bunch of good rollers out there.
Oh yeah, dude, it's crazy. I mean, like the Sicarios or some, there's the people who influenced me, and shout out to anybody that I've influenced, that's cool. It's really cool, because I mean, I never thought I would have that reach, so.
It's interesting to see the kind of reach that we have with certain influences, and stuff like that. I see it in the advocacy world sometimes. I'm like, oh, well, no one tells me anything other than this,
Yeah, like how we were saying yesterday, like if it wasn't for like people like you, we wouldn't have the legalization of cannabis, and at least in our state, so.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Shout out to you.
I appreciate that, man. Yeah, there was a lot of people that came before me too that helped, and shout out to them. But yeah, it was a long fight, years.
I mean, I fought my legal battles as well through it, so I can't say that I didn't not get in trouble for it, but I definitely am blessed to be in the position.
Yeah,
a lot of us are,
Yeah, 100%. Like, we're all fortunate enough to be in the industry we are in now. Don't get me wrong. Like I always say this: the industry and the laws we have now are not perfect.
Yeah.
But I think we're on the right track here in New Mexico.
Yeah.
Like we've taken a different route than other states, and that's something that I preach and I tell people all the time. I was like, you can't take what California does and try to apply it to New Mexico.
No, definitely. I mean, we could be influenced. That's definitely
100%.
a thing, and you see it around in a lot of the products that are actually in the dispensaries nowadays, whether it comes down to packaging or the actual product itself. Like hash rolls originated from California, so. I just implemented what I saw on the internet a couple years ago and just did it myself, and I didn't have anybody teach me. I just kind of figured it out, I messed up a lot, spent a lot of money, man. I almost went broke doing this, but to be able to be where I'm at and to be able to just like say that my day job is this, and like all my passion projects and everything on the side is this, like it's just like, damn, that's crazy.
Yeah, like you don't think about it because that rolling is something that some people feel is so mundane that why would you pay someone to do it? But when you look at the the rolls that you guys make or produce, like I rolled a hash roll myself, and it's not the easiest thing in the world at first. Like I've done it. Don't get me wrong, and it worked. I was actually surprised myself. But it's not something that just anybody who's rolling or even a beginner roller, could be able to do right away.
And I mean, I encourage everybody to continue practicing. Like that is one thing that I won't do is gatekeep. I mean, I won't personally give out my personal techniques that work for me because what works for me is not going to work for you. But I could at least give you a general breakdown of how things work and. I've been able to actually implement that at my work at Headspace, and create a team basically from scratch
Yeah.
and teach my preppers and the rollers and essentially how things should be,
Yeah.
and they all have their own technique. They all do a great job, We're able to produce enough hash rolls to supply 200 plus dispensaries in the state. So we are definitely putting in a lot of work, a lot of
Yeah.
big collabs in the work right now. I could kind of talk about it now because it got announced, but we have a Grower Circle collab coming up,
Cool.
and so yeah, it's just like little things like that, that companies that I've always wanted to like work with or work around with, and then because I enjoy their cannabis and
Hmm.
stuff like that, it's definitely awesome to finally be into fruition, and
Yeah.
I mean not just with Headspace, like with us as well. We have some really big things we can't really talk about right now, but definitely keep an eye out for that as well. We are definitely working really hard, and it's a pleasure to be able to work alongside people like you and
Appreciate it.
the twins and
Yeah.
the whole team, and it's just
Shout out Chris's Craft.
the whole passion team,
Yeah.
like, and then to be able to work with a legacy brand at that,
Yeah.
somebody who originated from the traditional market
Hmm.
and now is white market,
Yeah.
or rec. It's a beautiful thing to see,
Hmm.
because they took the chance on me, and now to be able to come full circle and like do this together legally, like it's awesome.
Yeah.
So
100%. Like that's what's great is it takes this underground aspect and brings it to light.
oh yeah, and that was like the biggest thing about the team, is like everybody wanted it, but it was like a club,
Hmm.
like if you knew, you knew, and if you
Yeah.
didn't, well, good luck,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
It's like, I don't know what to tell
but
you.
like now for it to be so widely available, we're in several different dispensaries here in town, in Sunland, and
Hmm.
then now Albuquerque,
Yeah.
it's definitely like crazy to see people like out there and like all around being able to post us the
Yeah.
way that we're able to post it at
Yeah.
the time,
Yeah.
and people be like, well, where'd you get that? And now
Yeah.
it's like, oh, go to Top Crop, or
Yeah.
so it's like a beautiful thing to see for sure.
No, it is 100%, and it's coming like full circle, and then like we're
Yeah.
just seeing this market kind of mature, and we're starting to see New Mexico become its own industry.
Yeah, no,
Like
most
we're getting our
definitely.
own niche in it and everything, and I love that.
I mean, we caught enough attention enough to do cookies, you
Yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah,
And I mean, Bloom's been around for a while,
hmm,
companies like that that have originated from a bigger state where this is more widely available,
yeah,
and so it's really cool to see that, and I mean, I may not be the biggest fan of cookies, but to see that in my state is actually kind of cool,
no,
because they didn't have to come to us,
no, no, they
so.
didn't, and that tells us that we're doing something right if a big company comes here
Hmm.
like that,
Yeah.
because a lot of people are excited for cookies. I've never had it myself, so I can't really have. I guess I could have an opinion, but it wouldn't be that accurate.
Yeah, most definitely. And I
Yeah,
mean, we definitely don't want to be super biased, but I mean, the people that we hang out with and the culture on its own has its own opinion of cookies. And
yeah,
sometimes you either follow or you do, and maybe you've had other products. Like I personally don't like Vibes,
yeah.
but that's just me,
Yeah, 100%.
So,
And that's what you prefer, and there's nothing wrong with that at all.
yeah.
If someone rolls a vibe, I'll probably still smoke it with them.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'll hit it once or twice.
Yeah. Might groan, but I'll hit it. So before we move on, or start talking about more things, what'd you do before you were in the cannabis industry?
So, I mean, my work history ranges anywhere from working at Walmart as a cashier to my last official, I guess, like non-cannabis job being a meat cutter,
Oh, okay.
actually for a Toucan market in town.
Toucan, everyone. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Everyone
shout
knows
out to
Toucan.
Toucan because
Yeah.
I was there for 3 years actually, and
Nice.
I was able to learn a trade. I was like I mentioned, I was like basically a meat cutter, cutting steaks and breaking down meat, and it was actually kind of fun, not
Yeah.
gonna lie. I mean, I worked really early and I basically had the afternoon off,
That's
but
cool.
there was that, and then work at Queen Bee's as well.
Mhm.
So that was kind of like my introduction into the cannabis world,
Yeah.
really, because um, through whoever she knew, people started meeting me, and it's funny enough that that's actually where I met the boys, and
Yeah.
Chris's Craft and everything. So
Nice. So it kind of just all continued
yeah,
on. Yeah. So
yeah,
almost like it was supposed to be.
definitely, dude. It
Yeah.
was crazy.
Yeah, it's dope. Yeah, and that's cool. I wanted to ask you that because, we all come from different backgrounds. You know, like I was in the military years ago, and then I got
of
out,
course.
and you know, I found the cannabis thing and started fighting for that. Along the way, you know, I was a manager at the Aggie Tech shop here in town. And of course, I worked for Apple for a little bit, you know,
Yeah.
briefly, you know, so, you know, I've contracted, you know, for the military in between that too. So, you
Yeah.
know, it's interesting to see where people came from. I mean, even, you know, Trey from Queen Bee, she has an interesting background
No,
too.
yeah,
She has
most
literally a
definitely.
scientist at one
Yeah,
point.
I was gonna say she has that degree, and it's so
Yeah.
crazy. I mean, I used to go to school too. You
Hmm.
know, I went to UTEP to try to become a teacher and everything, but
Oh, cool.
it didn't really last very long, just because. I mean, for one, legal trouble, but school was just never for me. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
It's not for everybody.
Yeah, and salute to anybody that dedicates that time, dude, because honestly, I cannot. Especially for like PhDs and stuff like that. Like, salute to y'all for doing that, because remember, not everybody has to be something, you know?
Yeah.
Like, everybody could just do something normal and be perfectly fine with that, you
Yeah,
know?
you know, like some people are fine
So,
with just, you know, working at Walmart. Others are fine with, you know, doing a 9 to 5 in an office, you know.
yeah, or being doctors or dentists,
Yeah,
plumbers, whatever, you
yeah,
know what I mean? So it's kind of cool to see people still at least have a drive for like traditional work like that, you know?
no,
So,
100%. Like, you know, I still have buddies that are still in the military. You know, they got
yeah.
like 4 or 5 years to like can retire.
Yeah,
So, you
like
know,
I have family that's still in the military. My
yeah,
uncle is still has been serving for like 15 plus years.
yeah, good for him.
So
A couple more years to retire.
yeah, no, yeah, that's what he was saying. He's like, I think I'm gonna do two more terms and then I'm done.
Yeah,
So
good for him.
yeah,
Yeah,
no, I mean, and then my cousin too. He's about to get out in the next couple of years, so he's finishing his contract out. So
yeah. And these are all guys that, you know, could possibly be in the industry one day. You know, that's one thing that I really
yeah,
want to focus on in the future is, you know, the veterans that are getting out. You know, a lot of us find a niche in the cannabis world. You know, like some of us like, oh, I can actually grow weed really well. You know,
yeah,
or
or I
actually,
can roll weed really
yeah, I
good.
can
You
roll,
know what
right?
I
Or I'm a
mean?
pretty good damn extractor. You know, like,
Or
holy shit, I'm making good
even
hash.
even just down to your bud tenders, man. You know,
Hmm.
like people who are knowledge and are passionate about not just what they do, but like the plant, the medicine side of things. You know,
Hmm.
like it's just another passion that you just add on to.
Yeah,
So
100%.
it's. I mean, we all have our own reasons for consumption, you know, but at the end of the day, like maybe it might help with this and it might help with that, but your main reason isn't just that, you
Yeah,
know? So
100%.
it's cool to see people regularly consume and say, yeah, I don't smoke because of this and that, but it does help with my anxiety and it does help with this and this and that, you know?
Hmm.
So it's still a medical benefit that I love to see and see people turn to, you know, people who have never actually consumed or had one bad experience and just never touched it again, you know.
Hmm.
So it's cool to see, I guess nowadays too, like products that are able to cater to that.
Yeah,
So
100%. You know, there's a little bit of almost something for everybody. You know,
definitely.
like there's crazy, even have suppositories.
Yeah,
You know,
no.
like, a little hard to find. Don't get me wrong, but you know, I haven't seen them everywhere, but they're
I'm
out there.
like, I mean, you can get anything from lube to popcorn
Yeah,
nowadays, you know?
yeah,
So
hundred
it's
percent.
like, that's
And
crazy.
and the lube thing I actually talked about in like my very first episode. You know, I had one of the girls from Gringo come in, and you
Oh,
know
okay.
that's one of the things they offered was lube, and I was like,
Yeah.
that's cool. Let's talk about it. You know,
No, I
like
mean,
yeah,
and it could be a benefit for some people, you know
yeah,
what I mean? There's topicals for people who don't want to get high but want to have the medicinal part of it. There's obviously for us concentrates, flour,
mhm,
edibles, you know, to goes, you got your pens, you
yeah.
know,
You got
like
the proxies, and you have the
yeah, you know,
Puffcos, and
I carry my Puffco everywhere I
yeah, I know
go.
that. Yeah, 100%. So, where are you currently working now, or are you just having a bunch of different stuff going on, like myself?
I have a bunch of different stuff going on, but the most consistent thing I do have going on right now is the headspace
Hmm.
stuff. Basically leading the team and making sure everything is up to like par, you know. Um, as well as we mentioned before, working with Chris Craft.
Hmm.
Uh, can't really talk about it too much, but there are some big things going on there.
When we can announce it, we will.
Yeah, we probably won't talk about it on the podcast anytime soon, but just keep an eye on Instagram for that. And if you see us, maybe talk about it. But even then, we still probably won't talk a lot about it. But no, yeah, I mean, just some really big things with the boys and you know. So I also have Queen Bees going on, and I actually do all of this through my own company, which is cozyboyrolling. So I provide a bunch of different types of services. I obviously provide batches, So, which really isn't at the moment, but full-time work, like I do at Headspace, consulting,
Mhm.
everything in between, you know,
So
just,
people can hire for your services and making hash rolls.
yes.
Oh, that's cool. That's pretty cool.
Not just hash rolls, I mean, I do regular roles at this
Hmm.
point. I'm actually working on a creative role.
Oh, cool.
I got inspired by the homies, Dabro and Jet Jet
Hmm.
to come up with something, you know, because I also am known for just hash rolls, but I want to be able to do it all, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
So, I mean, it's just a little bit of everything, you know, just trying to make sure that I stay busy, stay basically everywhere but my house nowadays. But
That's kind of how I feel. My poor dog.
I got two cats, so at least they can take care of themselves. But
True.
it,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I'm the same way. All over the place and everything. But yeah. So let's talk about hash holes.
yeah.
Like yeah, because it's a newer product in New Mexico. Well, newer product in New Mexico. It came from California, and I've kind of seen it kind of coming up the last couple of years, especially the last year. Can you tell us what a hash hole is for the people who don't
So
know?
it's just the ratio of flour and concentrate. Specifically when it's called a hash roll, you're using hash rosin set in the middle. You're basically just rolling that up so it gives more of like a donut effect. You know, you got your giant hole in the middle, and if you take your camera and your flashlight to it, you could actually see the melt shot, is what we call it. But
Hmm.
it's basically all the hash rosin puddling up right where it sits at the end of the flour where you set it.
Hmm.
And I mean, it makes for great videos. Everybody loves them. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
everybody freaks out over them when they see it. But basically, in my opinion, like hash rolls, not to say they're just a connoisseur thing, but if you like flavor, that's kind of the way to go, you know, just
Hmm.
because you're pairing two different things and mashing them together and just basically making something brand new. Because there'll be times where the flour takes over the rosin will take over the flour,
Hmm.
or they just balance perfectly.
Yeah, and the combined flavors, that's what's
So.
been interesting is seeing the flavor combinations that, we're coming up with, not just on the grow side, but what we can combine,
Yeah, no,
extract
most
wise.
definitely.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's crazy to see like your favorite flower get pressed and everything, but it's really awesome when you see your favorite concentrate get thrown in your joint, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
So,
that's true. Yeah.
yeah,
And
but
sometimes, some people might say, oh my God, this is my favorite flower from my favorite producer and my favorite hash rosin from my favorite extract guys. And they're putting it in the joint together, like, holy
yeah,
crap. Some people might get excited for that. And I kind of see it more or less like, for some people, it might not be an everyday thing, might be more niche, like, oh, my friend's having a birthday party,
yeah,
you
no,
know?
definitely. And actually, that's the whole reason I'm in this whole, industry. It's not for the money. It's really just to be able to provide an experience for people. Because I mean, there's been moments myself, especially as of recently, where I'll be smoking and I'll be looking at my joint and I'm like, damn, like I did a really good job on this.
Yeah.
And I just like think to myself, like, I wonder how many other people are actually thinking, like, damn, this joint was rolled perfect, like, it hit amazing, you know, like, it's just providing that experience. Or, like, how you're saying, like, it may not be an everyday thing. So, let's say you go to the dispensary, and I know they're sometimes a little pricey, you know, price ranges could vary anywhere from 60 to $100, depending on sizes. So, let's say you're spending that hard earned money to go get a hash roll and then you come back home and then you save it for something special, wouldn't you be upset if it didn't smoke right
Hmm.
or they didn't?
Ran.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
so like for me, it's being precise and tedious and making sure that each one would be the same one that I'm gonna smoke.
Hmm.
So that's the way that I really approach all of them. It doesn't matter whether I do Headspace or anything that I've done on the side before, you know, or all my previous collabs. It's always taken care of with very much precise love, you know, because
Hmm.
at the end of the day, like if you're not passionate about what you're doing, why are you doing it, you
Yeah.
know? So, and to be able to call this a day job is, like I mentioned, a blessing. So I just want to be able to provide that experience for everybody else because I get asked all the time, where can I get that? Where can I get that?
Yeah.
So to be
Nice.
able to send somebody that way and then to be able to pick something up and say like, oh, my friend did this, or I know the person that did that, and
Yeah.
then
He told me to come here and get it. Yeah,
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 you
yeah.
know, or like them, like how we're saying, taking it with friends and saving it and enjoying that experience, and they're like, yeah, like I bought this, like I know the person who did this, like I've been
Hmm.
saving it and blah blah blah, you know, like that. that honestly is like an honor, dude. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
because not a lot of people could say that. So I'm just really trying to bring awareness to it as much as I can, just because people do smoke them wrong, you
Yeah.
know, and that is also a big factor in what goes
Well,
in.
what's the proper way of smoking? Because you've gotten on me a couple times too.
So basically, the way, just down to the way you light it, you know, you want to make sure that when you're lighting it, you have a pretty good cherry going on, and instead of, taking it up to your lips and just putting the lighter to it, because you can't actually get the taste of butane through. A lot of people don't really focus on that, but your papers and
Mhm.
filters and just down to the way you light it does affect the taste.
Mhm.
So when you're lighting it, you want to get a good cherry going. You puff on it, light it, puff on it, light it until you get a nice even burn. Once you get a nice even burn going, you kind of wait 30 seconds in between hits,
Mhm.
let the ash build up, and you draw for anywhere from 3 to 5 seconds. Light draws, you know?
Mhm.
Because if you're hitting it, I don't mean to say it like this, when you're hitting it like a Neanderthal, there's no reason for you. Like, it's going to get back to you.
Yeah.
Like, hit it slowly,
Yeah.
enjoy it, taste it,
Yeah.
So you're basically just letting your flower reach to your concentrate at a pace where the flame isn't going to basically make it infuse.
Okay.
So once you hit the hash, you basically knock off the ash and then you can see the bubble and everything, but if you've been hitting it really hard, you could actually see it through the paper just infuse out.
Okay. So
So
they'll just bleed out into everything. It's kind of like
yeah,
when they infuse it, into the
yeah,
joint
yeah.
originally. Yeah.
So, and if you don't properly infuse things, you get runs,
Got it.
So that's where a lot of people have a lot of issues. And that's where, I mean, people call me a lot of things, for stopping them and saying, like, hey, don't hit my joint too hard or
Yeah.
something. But it's just because, I mean, I spend a lot of money,
Hmm.
like this costs a lot of money, not just to make, but to consume, like I
Hmm.
mentioned, some of them range for anywhere from 60 to $100.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't want to spend that amount of money just for you to user error it,
Yeah,
So
100%. Because I mean, the hash rosin, if you guys don't know, is quite expensive these days. It's one of the more higher tier items you could buy at the dispensary. I enjoy it myself. I've become more of a hash head more and more. But you put it into a joint, and how much do you usually put of a hash bowl inside of one of these?
it all just depends. My go-to ratios are usually like a gram and a third of a gram
Hmm.
of rosin.
Yeah,
I like to call it the nice personal smoke. If I
hmm,
have a couple friends around, I could still pass it.
yeah,
I still get the effect.
hmm,
Everybody still gets to taste everything,
hmm,
So it's a nice, decent ratio,
yeah,
but people go anywhere from a gram and a half to a half gram of rosin or 2 grams of flour to half gram of rosin. I've even seen anything from an eighth of flour, so 3.5
holy shit.
to a gram of rosin,
Yeah.
but those are the ones that are like $100 plus.
Hmm.
So it all just depends on what you're looking to spend on that day. And I mean, I know anybody could roll a joint and do it, but let me give you a pair of gloves and stuff and
Yeah.
watch you fumble it around a little bit. But that's why it's a niche market, like especially nowadays, you have a lot of entry level smokers that
Hmm.
don't know how to roll a joint or don't know how to use a roller or something, so you kind of have people like me or people who make pre-rolls and stuff like that that basically provide that service for you,
Yeah.
so it's a more convenient option. So if you've always wanted to experience one but you can't roll, like there's people like me who make it for you, and
Yeah.
I'm more than happy to work with a lot of people, so
And I've heard. All right. So you were talking about, people wanting to bring these to events and stuff like that,
yeah,
hanging out with friends, kind of like, I kind of feel it's more of a social thing.
yeah,
Every time
definitely,
I've smoked a hash roll, it's been in a social environment.
yeah,
I've never smoked one by myself. That, and I kind of feel I'd be crazy.
yeah.
That's a lot of smoke there. But yeah, I feel it's more of a social thing. So like, I can see a lot of people taking these to parties, taking it to sessions, and hopefully one day we can get the laws changed to where we have big social events and stuff like that where we have sessions, and you'll see these all over the place.
No, most definitely. I mean, I did work with Headspace on creating a smaller version, which in my opinion is a little bit more cost effective in the sense of not everybody could afford a hash bowl.
Yeah,
You
no,
know, at
100%.
least one every time they want one, you know, so why not make a hashito
Yeah, there you go. Hashito, I
and
like
make
that.
several different ones and you
Yeah,
just multi-pack them, you know?
yeah,
So I
I like
was
that.
able to help Headspace basically bring that product to life,
Yeah,
you know, and played with ratios and you know everything came out the way that I would have envisioned it, you
yeah.
know, to some extent. So it was cool to see something like that come out in the market where if you know your everyday smoke is not as consistent and you want to maybe try one of these but you don't want to buy one every so often,
Hmm.
or like you say maybe they're too big that you can't smoke them by yourself,
Yeah.
like this is a really great alternative,
Yeah, because
you
not everybody
know.
has friends.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, or not everybody's that social.
Definitely, yeah.
Just kidding, those out there are no friends.
I could be your friend. It's cool. We can smoke one
We'll be
together.
your
Yeah,
friend.
we'll smoke one together.
So it's great. It's cool. It's a product that I kind of feel is a little more social, and if you do the hashito, it becomes a little more affordable and it becomes a little more personal.
Yeah,
Like a little
definitely.
personal one. And I love hash holes. They do bring different flavors together. They allow you to taste one, and then a little bit later you're like, whoa, it changed again, because these are really focused on flavors, and
Yeah, definitely.
higher quality cannabis flower and higher quality hash rosin usually go into these. It's not like just your regular outdoor stuff that normally go into pre-rolls. So this isn't like your regular pre-rolls that you guys run into on the
Yeah.
market, right?
I mean, definitely we try to use the best of the best. Like I mentioned, we have that Grower Circle collab. There's like several other different ones that we've been working on and worked with, you know, like with Lucky Cultivation and
Hmm.
stuff like that.
I got some fire.
So yeah,
Yeah,
no,
that's
they're
some fire.
really great growers. So it just all kind of comes down to that, you know, and what's available,
Hmm.
because not everything's great, not everything smokes amazing, and I hate to say that, and I hurt a lot of feelings with that, you know,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
at the same time, my palate isn't the same as yours, and I don't mind spending that extra little bit of money on something that I know I'm gonna like.
yeah.
So. Definitely, you know, like I mean my personal hash rolls are wild, you know, I put some crazy combinations in them,
I've
but
had
yeah.
them.
It's just whatever I have to work with that I know that I could pair properly and actually make good combinations from. I don't like to double up on flavor whenever it's available just because I feel like that kind of defeats the purpose of actually a hash roll, you know, because
Hmm.
you want two different things and
Yeah.
you're putting two different things together. Why not get two different flavors? Why do you want to put the same thing on top of the same thing, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, vanilla on vanilla. Let's get vanilla
Yeah,
and strawberry.
definitely.
Yeah,
It's just like, oh, well, you got regular vanilla ice cream and you just got soft serve.
yeah,
You
exactly
know,
right.
like
Yeah,
you just, it's the same kind of taste. The only thing that's different is the soft serve, you
yeah,
know?
yeah.
So,
Just the consistency.
yeah,
Yeah.
so I just, for me, you know, like a lot of people ask me where they could get combos that I make and stuff like that. And I recommend people to my favorite ones, you know, because
Mhm.
I can't not be in this job and not know what it tastes like.
Yeah,
So,
100%. A lot of R&D
yeah.
goes into this.
Oh,
So much R&D goes into
and
this.
a lot of people think like, oh, you just smoke weed all day and blah 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 blah. And it's like, yeah, I smoke some bad weed 70% of the time, you know.
Yeah,
So it's not all fun and rainbows, you know. It's sometimes a lot of headaches and
yeah. Headaches brought on by the bad weed.
yeah. And I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like I hurt a lot of feelings. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I'm also not gonna be very mean about it either, you know.
Mhm.
But I do give my honest opinion, you know. But that's where the person who's working on this grow is, it's up to them really how they take it, because you could either take what I say into consideration and become a better grower, or you could stay where you're at and continue to keep pushing your mids, and
Yeah,
that's completely fine. There's a market for it, but I'm just not gonna buy it.
yeah. You're
You
not in that
know,
market.
yeah,
Yeah.
you know, like when I walk into the dispensary, I only have like four brands that I typically will spend my hard-earned money at, you
Hmm.
know, and that's like Alto, Green
Hmm.
Fuego, Us, you know, Chris's Craft, Grower Circle, and Sandia slash Oleo.
Hmm.
So that's what I really spend my hard-earned money on, because I know that those are quality products and I enjoy their products. So
100%.
yeah,
It's just a testament out there to the people that are doing it to just do better. Keep working on it. Keep keep making your product better and better. Every grow, you should strive to make that grow better.
no,
Even if you
definitely.
are one of the best growers in the state,
And it
it should be
that
strived.
doesn't just go down to growers, like rollers, it
Hmm.
goes down to hash makers, down to people who make distillate. Like, if you feel like your product isn't that great and you could do better, like do better, and
100%.
that's no like hate or me trying to discourage you or discredit you for your work,
Hmm.
but if you know that you have that potential, why don't you do it,
Yeah.
And I've even had growers tell me, that either cuss me out or tell me like I appreciate you for
Yeah.
being honest, because everybody just says that they love it, and for
Yeah.
somebody to say that they don't, like that takes a lot,
Hmm.
like I'm pretty sure it's hard to tell your mom that her cooking isn't amazing, so
Yeah.
so or your wife or something, but if you're honest, they can get better.
Yeah,
So
100%. Like, okay, well, let's don't be an asshole about things.
no,
Like
yeah,
being
let's
honest and being an asshole are two different things.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
most definitely. And that's where I feel like some people either take it personal or, because it's all perception.
Hmm.
I'm not always going to be the good guy.
Yeah.
So I know where my role is sometimes, So
Yeah.
if I got to be the bad guy and if you're going to be like offended by it, then I'm going to tell you, I'm like, well, I'm sorry that your weed is boo-boo, but like, what do you want me to do?
Yeah, there's nothing
Like,
I can do about it. I just don't like
I'm
it.
just telling you, like, get better, and if you take offense to that, then stay where you're at.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
know?
because there's certain people that will take offense. I mean, there's people in the state, like Cruz from Stonehead who do reviews, and
Yeah.
sometimes, some of those people aren't very happy, but they should at least take that and be like, okay, a consumer didn't like this. What did we do wrong?
No, yeah, most
Consumers
definitely.
aren't required to like your product.
No, most definitely, and that's one thing that I tell people all the time. If my joint doesn't smoke right, tell me,
Yeah,
so that way I can do something about it.
yeah. Like maybe
Because
I did something wrong.
yeah, maybe my tech was different, or maybe I just wasn't paying attention while I was rolling that joint or
Mhm.
something, But I want to get better.
Yeah.
I want to be able to take that critique and be able to apply it to my rolling and know that I can get better,
Mhm.
Because at the end of the day, whether it be 100 or 1,000 hash rolls, every specific one is technically different, Not all of them are the same, even though they look the same. Not all of them are the same, So I want to be able to at least bring it down to where, I mean, I do have my numbers like this, but for every 10 joints, maybe one of them runs a little bit or
Yeah.
something,
Yeah.
And we're
Pretty
gonna
good
have
numbers.
those issues.
Yeah.
That's fine, but
Yeah.
that's
In
what
any manufacturing environment, you're gonna have defects. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, you have disposables sometimes that just don't work,
Yeah.
and that's not the manufacturer's fault, and to some extent, it really isn't the person who sold you the hardware, because one of them just didn't want to work,
Yeah.
and
Something in there just didn't stick, didn't connect, whatever.
yeah,
It happens
so
all of the time.
yeah, I mean, even just down to food, we get weird looking Cheetos sometimes,
Yeah, it's true.
like. So there's
Yeah.
defects yeah, like so there's defects everywhere. It's just all about learning how to get through them,
Yeah.
because if you drown yourself in that sorrow, you're not gonna go anywhere.
Yeah.
So
100%. Yeah, and that I'm glad that we had this conversation and everything, and get people to know hash holes. If you've seen it on the shelves, now you know what they are. Now one of the people who actually make them and roll them. So I'm glad you're able to come and talk about this because this is something that is popping up more and more in New Mexico's market.
no,
You
most
know.
definitely, and I feel just like the pre-roll market in general is very, very big,
Mhm.
So why not try to capitalize to some form or extent on my, like, I guess you want to call it my talent,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
just be able to provide something that everybody can't do,
Mhm.
because I mean, everybody has the issue where you go by well, not everybody, but a good portion of the time you go by a pre-roll and it doesn't hit right
No,
because somebody overpacked it or
or
was
it's like
too
flimsy.
loose. Yeah,
Yeah.
so like at least in this environment, I can guarantee that it's gonna smoke,
Yeah, 100%.
because I rolled it and I know how I rolled it, and even though you could say, oh, well, he's just being cocky, it's like, no, I've done this long enough to where it's like I've messed up joints. I figured it out. I've sat there and rolled really expensive joints and they didn't smoke.
Yeah. And
You
that's
know?
heartbreaking.
No, it is, especially when you're like in a group setting, like, and you're trying to show off to your friends and it just doesn't smoke right and you're just sitting there like, I mean, it's just about like you notice little things as you go,
Mhm.
like the running issue has to do with people not packing right, or not packing evenly.
Yeah.
So it's just little things, So you could always there's always room for improvement. And
100%.
I am my biggest critic,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, 100%. We all are, and you should be. Well, before we move on to the next conversation, where can people find you online?
So I mostly interact through Instagram. My rolling page is just Cozy Boy Rolling. My personal page is Cozy Boy G. Um, that's mostly where you could find me. If you want to inquiry about any rolling services, it'd be through Cozy Boy Rolling.
Cozyboyrolling.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So if you guys want to hire him, if he's up for hire for some projects on the side, of course. So yeah, hit him up and everything. And where can people find most of the hash rolls that you rolled?
So, like I mentioned, we're in over like 200 different dispensaries through Headspace. Anywhere from Top Crop to your local dispensary,
Nice.
soon different other little spots that we're working on getting into, but they're very widely available. A lot of different dispensaries price them at different places. So one spot you might see them at $82, another spot you might see them at 60, but it all just depends on them.
Yeah. It's out of your hands at that point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've done exclusive drops with certain ones like Cave City Cannabis. We did Monster House recently for their lounge
Hmm.
opening.
Okay.
So we did a couple of them for them. We are doing Dreams, and then I forgot who else, but we've done a couple of collabs with specific dispensaries.
Nice.
So it's just a matter of who wants what, you
Yeah.
know.
And being at over 200 spots, the chances are you most likely are going to run into it somewhere around the state.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just where anywhere you could find Headspace product, you will definitely find my hash rolls.
Cool.
So I do actually, like I mentioned, have a team that I roll with. So not to say that the chances of getting one of mine are slim because we all work together,
Hmm.
and we all do a good amount of numbers. So you'll see mine in there. You'll see my coworkers in there.
Nice.
So and they all do a great job.
Cool. Awesome. Well, I appreciate you joining me for the show today and,
Of
really
course.
sharing all this hash hole knowledge and stuff like that. Because, maybe someone will be, motivated to start rolling hash holes, off of this episode.
Oh yeah,
So I appreciate
hopefully.
that. Hell yeah, man. Well, let's move on to the next topic and everything because that was a really good topic. We spent a lot of time on it. But, I love rolling and I love art. So, putting those two together,
Yeah.
it's just something I could talk about all day.
Oh man, just wait until you see that creative will come out. Trying to aim for the end of the month, so let's see if I can get my stuff together for it. With how busy I've been,
Yeah.
it's just crazy.
Awesome. Well, keep a looking on for that, guys, and we'll move on to the next topic. So, our next topic is going to be talking about oversaturation. And I know this has been a hot topic actually in the state for months now. If you guys don't know, we are oversaturated here in our market in New Mexico. Currently, we have about 113 retail spots, and those are just retail dispensaries that sell cannabis. This doesn't have to talk about producers or any other that. It's just retail. However, that number did drop from 141 to 113, in the
Wow.
past couple of months. So we're seeing a downtick versus going up. Now, the reason why we're probably not seeing as much is because we still have spots that are opening. So it's doing this little wave thing like
Yeah,
this.
definitely. And I mean, another thing really is just location,
Yeah, yeah,
Like, if you're not in a good spot in town, well, not to say like a bad spot, but like, somewhere that doesn't get enough traffic, you're not gonna do well.
yeah. Business 101,
Yeah,
location, location, location.
definitely.
So, and the reason why I wanted to bring this up is because several news outlets around the state are kind of talking about this. They're, bringing people in with their opinions. And to be honest, I feel like it's a one-sided argument. They're only bringing people in that, are not doing well or afraid or whatever. And I kind of wanted to, let's break this down because it sounds a little bit weird. So let's dig into it a little bit.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to have a conversation about this. And, someone that's in this industry as well. And that's why I love having my guests because you don't just get my opinion or,
Yeah,
what I believe. You get what someone else thinks and what their experiences have been.
definitely.
So for me, and what my perspective and what I've noticed is in New Mexico, we're on a sped up timeline. You know, other states like Colorado, Washington, et cetera, when they went legal in 2013, 14, it took about 3 years for them to hit a bubble, you know, like to where we are right now.
Yeah.
And then it took about 5 years for them to be a stable market. We're running into that 3 year mark after a year. You know, like, so
yeah.
that's a quick timeline to be sped up on.
Yeah, definitely. Just because, I mean, just like how you're saying, within the couple of years that Washington and Colorado did their rec market, it did open a really big boom to a lot of dispensaries basically being around the corner. But with that boom came a lot of down, you know, because dispensaries started getting weeded out, you know, who was doing good, who was doing bad, who was doing good business and bad business,
Who's
which
following the rules?
currently is going on here in the state, you
Yes.
know. So it all just factors into a bunch of different things, you know. So if you look at it one way or another, it still is technically kind of a one-sided argument just because it really only focuses on the people who are falling,
Yeah.
you know. But for the people who are booming, it's awesome, you know,
Yeah.
like it's
They're like,
great,
it's
you
fine.
know.
This is great.
So I don't know. I do see, I mean, at least in town, you know, there being at least like a minimum of like 50 dispensaries, more towards the end of it. Just whoever sells good product and or actually has that backing.
Yeah,
So,
100%. And that's kind of how I felt too. There's a lot of things that go into this because we've seen some places shut down already. You
oh
know, we
yeah,
saw Soul shut down here in town,
yeah,
and you know that was unfortunate. It was the first consumption lounge, you know, in the area, and I think
in
in
the
the state.
state, yeah,
You know, when it comes to rec, and that was sad to see because you know you're like, holy crap, you know, it's already being weeded out, and one of the first people they got taken out that way,
yeah,
and you know a lot of it is business decisions. How you're doing business with people, you know, like other businesses talk to each other, believe it or not, guys, you know, this is a competition, but we do communicate with each other. And if there is bad business practices going on,
we
one
will
business
know.
is going to know, we're going to
Yeah,
know. And, you know, sometimes they have solid concrete paperwork, you know, evidence to say like, you know, this is what happened. This is, you know, I'm showing you right here. So that's another thing that's going on. And then the people who aren't staying in compliance, you know,
yeah,
they're another big
definitely,
issue.
yeah,
And I kind of feel that doesn't help with our oversaturation because we are oversaturated. You know,
definitely.
there's no argument against that. You
I
know,
mean, we were just in Albuquerque. Basically, every corner was a dispensary.
yeah,
Every like 3 blocks.
hmm
So it was like, you know, here too. You know, Solano is becoming the Green Mile.
yeah, 100%. You know,
So
it's straight up Green Mile.
yeah, you got like 3 different dispensaries right around from where we're at right
Yeah,
now. You know, so it's like, well, including 4 now with Clean Bees. But you know, it's people like her, you know, that I think are gonna do really well in this industry, just because not only is she a part of the culture, you know, but she is a person of quality.
yeah,
So she knows what demand is where.
hmm
So it's going to be awesome to see people like her thrive, you know, and not to say throw any shade towards any other dispensary, but I just know if I want a specific product, I know where I'm going to go.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Just like I mentioned, I only really spend my hard-earned money on 4 or 5 different like flower companies and
yeah,
stuff. So if I know that I can find it there and at whatever price I can get it at, whether it be good or bad, you know, like I'm gonna go there.
yeah,
And you know, that's one thing I see in a lot of dispensaries as of recently is like a lot of price drops. If you've noticed, people are sitting on a lot of product. It's not just the I guess you could say retail saturation. It's also the actual production saturation. I mean, we're in Croptober right now,
yeah,
so it's just a matter of time before pounds go for anywhere from 15 to 1,000 to 1,500. You know, depending on what it is,
hmm
to basically outdoor pounds going for like 500.
yeah, 5 to 6. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's like
so
worst case scenario.
and people are gonna have to pick it up or sit on it.
hmm
So
100%. Because I mean, the shitty thing about that is not all of that product will sell.
yeah,
You know, like
definitely.
there is a market for something that low, but it's not the majority market right now. You know, it's kind of split all over the place. We're figuring out our market still.
No, yeah, and I mean, it all kind of goes down to like how we were saying, area, like maybe Solano might not sell the super expensive stuff because it's just not going to sell.
Yeah.
But maybe a Roadrunner or something, like they're selling out of $40 A's, $50 A's all the time,
Yeah.
So it all just depends on the general area that you're at and how much people are actually willing to spend on stuff. Because, I mean, even if you notice now, like, well, it's been a thing, but people sell shake all
Yeah.
the time,
Yeah.
and whether it be top shelf or outdoor shake, you can get an ounce for anywhere from $50 to 100,
Yeah.
just straight shake.
And as our consumers start to get more educated in the state, I kind of feel that that will start to change too.
Oh no, most
Yeah.
definitely. And I mean, even just down to like products like hash rolls and
Hmm.
hash rosin on its own, it will and is actually starting to become more widely available and more relatively cheaper.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously you get what you pay for,
Yeah.
and some companies, put out stuff that isn't what I paid for, but
Yeah. Yeah.
definitely, there is a market for everybody to start somewhere, you know. So it's just like I mentioned, it's all depending on how much people really want to spend,
Yeah.
because as like someone like me is willing to spend $200 on a 2 gram jar, of some rosin, and I know that it's gonna be super fire, like somebody's gonna look at that and be like, why would I ever do that?
Yeah. Like
When I
you're
could get
crazy.
when I could get like a whole ounce of BHO, or I could get like 2 ounces of flour, this and this and that, you know what I mean? It's a justification of not wanting to spend the money on that product,
Yeah.
So, and it's not just in cannabis, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
So,
It's kind of like, getting Little Caesars versus a local spot that, the pizza may be a little more pricey, but it's actually better quality.
or I mean, we see it at Walmart all the time. Why are you gonna pick up the name brand when you could just get great value?
Yeah. It's the same
So
thing essentially, but, some
yeah.
people, to be honest, I don't like great value soda versus regular soda because there is a
Yeah,
difference. You can tell. You can tell the
like
difference.
I'm gonna want a Dr. Pepper over a Dr. Shasta, like, so.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. Like there is a difference, even though, it's the same thing.
Yeah, no,
Like,
definitely. And I mean, I'm not knocking anybody for wanting to definitely spend whatever they can or on a budget,
yeah,
but it's just, hey, let me introduce you to something new.
yeah,
You know what I mean? I know
try
that
something.
you might not be able to have this every day or consistently, so let me treat you real
Yeah.
quick,
And do you
like.
kind of feel like some of these retails that aren't making it, they're not being innovative enough like that? Like, they're not keeping their consumers informed on the new what's going on, or maybe they just don't care.
Definitely to some extent, because I mean, we teach our bud tenders to basically know about terpene profiles and whether things are sativa or indica, but we
Hmm.
don't actually like, I guess, and maybe not all, but teaching people how to experience new products, you know what I mean? Because I mean, to a flower head, you're not really gonna try to convince him to take dabs, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? But if
Yeah.
he's in the circle and he's tried it once or twice and says, I don't want to try it right now, there's different options that you could give to that person to at least have a starting point,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So maybe not everybody's willing to buy a dab rig and a temp reader and this and that because it's expensive, but you're willing to buy a pen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Maybe a
100%.
$40 pen with a coil in it. You can start consuming concentrates that way,
Yeah.
You don't always have to buy like disposables or cartridges, because I mean, to some extent, we don't really have a lot of, I guess, knowledge on them too much, just
Hmm.
because they are fairly new within the past 5 years
Yeah.
or so. But I mean, concentrates have been around for a while, and at this point, people have it down to a T, whether it be through solvent or solventless,
Yeah.
So whether you're a beginning dabber or an experienced dabber, there's something for everybody in that market, So that's what's really nice. And I mean, let's say like how I do things, hash rolls and stuff. There's also other sorts of infused pre-rolls, So I just would really like to see more actual like concentrate infused pre-rolls over just sprayed distillate and stuff like that. Just
Just
because,
sprinkled to Keef.
yeah,
Yeah.
or bubble hash or whatever it is that you're gonna throw on it. I would just like to see something a little bit more cleaner,
Yeah.
And you can make the argument that distillate goes through a cleaning process several different times, but at that point, there's something called the entendre effect that our brain basically receives all the receptors that cannabis provides, you know, and receives them in a certain manner where it's kind of like a progressive thing, you
Yeah.
know. So the more you consume, the more you're gonna feel high, and the more you're going to like uplift and feel that, you know. And where something like distillate is just a straight pack to your brains, or like overloading your brain cells with just THC, you
Yeah.
know.
There's really
So
nothing else in it. Yeah.
yeah, you know.
Yeah.
So I mean, in my opinion, like distillate is a nice like middle point. Like let's say you're already, you know, stony baloney and you kind of just want to keep it going, you know, you kind of hit that a couple times. But as for like a full form of consumption, I think it's basically a waste,
No,
you know?
and this is something that these places are using as products as their go-to.
No,
Like we're
definitely.
we're selling only distillate. We're only selling this. So when you have experts or people that come in who are connoisseurs, people call them heady these days.
Petty
The
boys.
heady boys. It changes perspective because it's like, well, I do have this, and it is weed, and it is high THC, and it does sell, but you're missing another part of the market.
Yeah,
A whole different part of
definitely.
the market because you're just staying on that one product.
Yeah.
And I've seen that a lot with a lot of these retails because the oversaturation thing, it's starting to kind of fix itself. It's starting to level out,
Yeah,
and
definitely.
these news outlets they are reporting that. I don't know if they're watching my show or if I'm not the only one who's saying this,
Yeah.
but we are starting to level out on our own.
Yeah.
And there's really no point for us to kind of like freak out right now, like, oh my God, but this is just the natural process of a new industry.
Yeah, I
There's a
mean,
huge influx of people that want to get in it, and then it starts to weed itself out.
even just down to product, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like you see a lot of things that just aren't on the market anymore, you know, like so it's definitely cool to see, you know, some people trial and error and realize their failure and make either better or worse choices, you know. So, I mean, the cannabis industry right now, at least in New Mexico, I don't know how it is in other markets, but it's like a wild west right now.
Yeah.
So everybody's trying to do something, whether it be, you know, your friends, in-laws that just so happen to have a lot of money and now they want to grow on it because they see how much is going on, but don't really know what the cost is for something like that, whether it be down to your retail, your production, or your manufacturing, you
Yeah.
know? So, and I mean, as somebody who's been in not just like the rec side of things, but also in the traditional side of things, I don't trust anybody who does not smoke.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know what
Like
I
some of these
mean?
owners, it scares me. You're right.
If
Yeah.
you're, I mean, at least if you're a cannabis owner, you
Yeah.
know, like if you are a cannabis like owner of a dispensary or production or something like that, and you don't smoke and you don't actually like take the time to want to find the people who are passionate about creating an amazing product,
Hmm.
please stay out of it.
Yeah.
Because all you're doing is just grabbing a quick buck and it fails.
Yeah.
You know,
Miserably.
very bad.
Yeah.
And we've already seen it in a lot of different companies, you know, whether they be local or outside or even just down to retailers. There's just some retailers that, because of their impression that they left, they're just not doing good, you
Yeah.
know? And I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but we had a retailer in town had issues with somebody, you know, just
Yeah.
because they posted an honest review.
Yeah.
So for them to go out of their way, especially on their like personal pages and on the business pages, like that looks super unprofessional. I don't want to shop with you. I
Yeah.
don't even want to do business
And
with
they're from
you.
out of state too, on top of that. And you're in
Yeah.
a state that doesn't like out of state entities in the
And I
first place.
mean, that's not always the case because there are other companies, you know, like I will say the name, you know, like Matchbox, you
Hmm.
know, they're out of state, but their product is great and
Yeah.
they're awesome people, you know. So there are instances where people from outside of state can be taken in by the
No,
community.
100%. But you do it
And
right.
yeah,
You got to do it
exactly, you
right.
know, and I, not to say it like that, but I am one of those products, you know, because
Hmm.
I'm not from here
Yeah.
and New Mexico has taken me in so amazingly and has treated me right, and I just want to give the same, you know. So people who are coming in with a greedy intention don't last long.
No, and
'Cause
that's what I mean about outsiders. When we
yeah,
bring outsiders in, we notice what you guys are doing,
yeah,
and we see it. And so if we don't like it, we're not going to fuck with you.
yeah, no,
Yeah,
definitely. And I mean, it's not just like we're not gonna fuck with you. Like we're gonna let everybody know that we're
yeah,
not gonna mess with you, you know. Because at the end of it, like like how we were talking about that influence earlier, you know, like people want to know what we're smoking on. People want to know what we buy and what we
Hmm.
consume and how it hits and how it tastes and stuff. And if you leave a bad taste in my mouth, I'm gonna tell people.
Yeah.
And it's not because I'm trying to throw shade on you, but it's just my honest opinion.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I hold back from giving my full honest opinion, you know.
And
So
sometimes we do, we had that whole rubber hose thing, a couple weeks ago
yeah,
from, one of the renowned places. And, that's something that stayed in my mouth even to right now with this conversation. I'm tasting it and, it's almost offensive and it's like,
or I
so I get
mean,
it.
even just down to like producers, you know, like when they have mold issues and stuff like that, like watching something basically get try to fix, you know, that could hurt somebody, you
Yeah.
know, like that's really shady.
Hmm.
Like I don't want to associate myself with you at all.
Yeah.
And it's
100%.
not just that, but I don't want to consume any of your products because now I know what's in them,
Yeah.
you know,
Now that
and
I've seen it, holy crap.
yeah,
And shout out to the people that allow us to go see their grows because sometimes, people don't want you to see their grows because they don't want you to see how bad it is.
yeah,
They don't want you to
no.
see the mold, the mildew, the
And I
bugs.
mean, okay, let's say you do let me see all that bad stuff. It's the people that justify things.
Yeah.
Because it's
Yeah.
like, dude, you should not let your plants get this bad. And I get some people have massive scale grows, you know what I mean? But
Yeah, you're
that's
gonna
why
have issues,
you
but
hire the right help. And if that's why I go back to my argument where if you're just a regular old collar, you know, like white suit and collar type that's coming into this industry to make a quick buck, like you're not gonna make it
yeah.
because you're just trying to, oh, well, it basically grows itself. But it's like, no, there's
Yeah.
so many different, even down to the trimmers, you know, everybody is important.
Hmm.
Everybody plays a role there. And if you're not playing your role, you basically fuck it up for everybody.
Yeah.
So I see it as like justifying your issues with your grows, with your manufacturing, or even just down to your retail, you know, like you are not taking that initiative of wanting to become better,
Yeah.
you know? So, I mean, you can make the argument all you want, but it's still mold. It's still like a bad product,
Yeah.
or you know what I mean? How we're saying the water hose chips, it
Yeah.
still tastes like water hose.
Yeah.
So we can't. What am I gonna do?
Yeah, like what do we do other than not going with these people? And these are the kind of people that, should be out of the market, the ones that just refuse to do better, the ones that
Yeah.
just don't care.
But you
That
see, issues like that, you know, they have that $1 million backing,
yeah,
you know, so,
exactly.
and that's what sucks is that they're gonna do anything that they can to infiltrate the community
Yeah.
and the culture
Yeah.
and do whatever they can to succeed in it, you
Hmm.
know. So that's just kind of what we're seeing with a lot of companies, you
Yeah.
know, and I mean, you know, like Schwazi's one big one, you know, so.
No,
But
I mean 100% because we have these big companies, and sadly, some of these big companies are going to stick around for a long time, and they're probably going to be here, once we're a mature market even.
no, yeah,
Um,
definitely. But the people see it.
No,
So
100%. And
yeah.
not everybody's going to mess with those people because we have some of what we call the dirty 30. Some of those guys were doing great, have all these sales, but if you look at their sales now, whew, it's like going down. And I look at all of these people's sales, especially the ones that are calling for, the licenses to be closed. I look at your sales, and everyone that has said, I want licenses closed, their sales are shit. And like I see it and we see it. So we know the reason why they're calling for it. It's
Well,
not for competition, it's because they don't want to lose. And I get it, but you have to do it right.
it's also like companies that have been here for a minute too,
Hmm.
you know what I mean? Like that have been around since the medical days because I mean to some quote unquote they're traditional well they're legacy brands too, you
Yeah, the
know?
dirty
Like
30.
yeah.
Yeah.
So just seeing them basically like have to be strong armed into not carrying just their product is good and bad, you
Yeah.
know, because now it gives the consumer a new place to shop, you know, more sales there, et cetera, et cetera. But now you know that the people who basically put millions of dollars into the facilities and
Yeah.
grows and this and that now have to basically outsource that.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be something that they're going to want to do, especially when I was making the millions of dollars before that, you
Yeah.
know? So I mean, I love to see other product and traditional dispensaries, you know, the ones that came from medical, but at the same time, I know that a lot of them, it's going to take some time for them. You
Yeah.
know, there's already a couple that forced to go that route, you know,
Yeah, a
and
bunch of scaling back.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. And they've kind of just let other people take control of that aspect of that product, you know, and
Mhm.
so yeah, I mean, it's a great thing to see, but it's also, like I said, a bad thing for the investors
Yeah.
because their investments just went to shit.
Yeah, and it goes back to I've told people this all the time. If you're not properly funded, don't do this.
Yeah,
If you don't have the
definitely.
funds, don't bet your house on this. Don't live out of the dispensary. Don't do any of that. If you're not properly funded, don't try this because there is a chance you might lose. Like there is a probably more of a chance that you're going to lose than you are going to succeed.
Definitely.
Especially if you're not doing it right, if you're not from the community, if you're not with the culture, if you're literally just wanting to open your doors and say, I'm here, come get my weed, you're probably not going to make it. I've seen those people,
Yeah.
like I've seen it happen. Those type of people, they usually don't make it. They're not in the community. They're not out there doing something. They have terrible product. They just don't have anything going for them. So, I mean, to be honest, and I sad to say this, they deserve to fail. And
Yeah.
those are the type of businesses that we don't want around in the end.
Yeah, and I mean, even though they might have like a pretty face for the customers, like whatever they do behind closed doors, I mean, dude, we see the manifest.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
like it's all on paperwork.
yeah,
You know,
100%.
like that's what's the beautiful thing about BioTrack is that if it's not on paperwork, like where'd you get it?
Yeah, exactly. It's if it's not in the system, then how'd you get it? Yeah.
Yeah,
So, and
so
that's another thing, the oversaturation. If we close licenses, the people that are doing the wrong thing, they get to stick around, and no one gets to replace them that would do a better job.
well, I mean, luckily the CCD's kind of been, you know, cracking down on a lot of people.
Hmm.
So we are kind of seeing that aspect of, you know, I guess you could say the gray market that is getting actually less grayer, you know? So it's either at this point you're white or black, you
Yeah.
know? So there is no being in between.
Yeah.
So
100%.
it's just it's cool to see that, you know, because the people who want to do it legally, they can do it legally, but just like I was saying, you got to be properly funded, you
Hmm.
know, and the people who want to stay black market can continue to keep doing
Yeah.
that, you know, and
100%.
the laws kind of now to some extent help them
Yeah.
stay within that industry because with things like, you know, with police, you can't search you just for the smell of things nowadays. It it's thriving, you
Yeah.
know, and in my opinion, yeah, it kind of slowed things down a little bit over there, but it's still a booming market,
Yeah.
you know, because I mean, not everybody wants to smoke on dispensary stuff,
Yeah.
so
Because I mean, a lot of the time, some of the dispensary stuff isn't as good as the stuff we find on the streets, and the
or
testing the way it
cheaper.
is now can be manipulated.
Yeah,
Like the way it is. Someone can get paid off. They can cherry pick a sample. They're allowed to
and
mediate shit before they send it.
yeah, that's like a lot of stuff that I see is a lot of people just like cherry picking samples.
Yeah.
Like, my opinion, if like let's say for flour, you should at least have to throw in like whatever much of your harvest is, like a third of that,
Yeah.
just to ensure, you
Yeah.
know, or at least like a bit of everything,
Hmm.
just so that way it's like, well, this batch failed, that batch failed, but these passed. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Because I mean, you have in a grow, you could have an issue over here, but it's not over here, or
Yeah,
hasn't reached over here yet. So
exactly.
you're cherry picking this when the issue's over here, and you're still selling this to the general public, and the general public's getting this and they're smoking mold.
Yeah,
And that's terrible.
yeah.
We've seen that too many
A
times.
little bit too
Yeah,
much often, to be
and
honest. And honestly, shame on the producers for just going about it like it's nothing,
yeah,
because you are hurting a lot of people's health.
no, 100%.
There's a lot of people who consume this product just for the medical purposes of it. And if you are gonna basically taint my medicine, like, fuck you,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
I mean, that's
So,
you're messing with people's health at that point.
yeah,
It's not like even like food poisoning. If I get food poisoning from somewhere, I kind of don't want to go back.
yeah,
Like they
exactly.
aren't using the right practices, obviously, to keep people healthy.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with these retails. And then
And it may not be the same, like, let's say how you're saying with the food poisoning, it may not be the same restaurant, but just because it happened at that one spot, you associate it with the rest of them, you know?
exactly,
So,
100%. Like, the whole Chinese food, you're like, oh, Chinese food's bad because, like, whatever,
Yeah, but it's just
it was a small few.
yeah, mummy, dude. I love Chinese food,
Yeah,
so
yeah, me too.
if it gets me sick, I associate the spot. Like
100%. And, we don't need people associating, certain things with the cannabis market now. And, it's just bad for our culture and our community. So it's just the oversaturation. The way that I feel that it needs to be fixed is just allow the natural process to happen. If we close things up, it makes things worse. And when we were medical, we had very limited producers and everything, and that caused more issues than we have today, just on a smaller scale.
Well, I had overheard somebody talking about it not too long ago, and I think it was actually Donnie from Farmers on his podcast. He said that back in the medical days, it was basically like a whole hassle just to get started. You had to
Yeah.
have machines and everything basically up and running without being up and running,
Yeah.
So I feel like now there's like a lot of leniency, just because some people do have time to prep and
Yeah.
stuff like that. But by the time that the CCD gets to them, they've already put out product,
Yeah, they're already
So
making their millions, and that product's still on the, out there on the shelves.
yeah,
They should be able to pull that product at least.
yeah, and I mean, I'm no one to talk about laws, you know what I mean? Because I break plenty myself. But it's just, that safety, not just for your patients and consumers' health, but for your own, because at the end of it, we're playing with equipment that could basically blow up, or
Yeah, it's a boom boom room for a reason. Yeah.
yeah, whether it be through extraction or, some people with allergies when it comes to pollen and stuff like
Yeah.
that when they're at farms and stuff.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's kind of like to user and how they want to go about it. But I mean, it messes people's health,
Yeah.
like working in this industry is not all sunshines and rainbows, or flowers. It takes a lot of blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah.
Some people basically have to reroute their whole schedule to their plant schedule.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like,
I've done that.
so yeah, you know what I
Yeah.
mean. Like you have to wake up at like 4 in the morning to go feed them or something, or to turn on their lights if you're
Or
doing
to
indoor.
move the cover over them because you're doing light depth. Yeah.
Exactly, So I mean, this is a lifestyle. This isn't just, oh, I want to get stoned. Yeah, to the average consumer, but the people who care and actually put love and care into their product, like this is a lifestyle. Like we breathe this. We basically do this for every moment that we're awake. And to some form, you could say that I have a lot of time on my hands because I'm always bored because that's how I roll so many joints and got good at them. But if I didn't have all that time on my hands, I wouldn't be where I'm at,
Yeah,
If it wasn't for
100%.
my mom not letting me own a pipe, I wouldn't have learned how to roll a joint.
Yeah,
So,
100%. So, I mean, it goes back to community, really, and
Yeah,
culture. A lot of these places aren't a part of the community and culture. So, this is one thing I'm gonna keep you guys updated on. I've been doing that for the last few months. Just even when I announced that there's a bubble happening and it's gonna burst. Well, it's been bursted for a long time, and now we're seeing the aftermath effects.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind. Don't interrupt a natural process. Keep in mind of the people who are calling for this. It could be someone who's not making it, could be a big corporation who doesn't want competition, et cetera, et cetera. So be careful when you look at this. Also, every decision has its pros and cons. Don't ruin the program just for a small few.
Definitely.
Just for a small few that aren't making it. That was the idea and the plan when we first started this was some were going to make it, a lot weren't. And that's just how it is. And right now we're seeing that start to take effect. So if we close licenses, it's just going to throw everything out of whack and it won't be good. But unfortunately, not everybody can make it in the end, and not everybody will.
Definitely. And I mean, some people just aren't going to make it because they're not following the rules. So
Yeah.
I'm like,
Those are the easy ones.
just let Darwinism work itself out.
Yeah, exactly. It's working itself out. There's a lot of people out there not following the rules. So we're going to see that 1013 start to go down even more. We will still see some open up, but hopefully the ones that do open up are doing it right. They waited till whatever, and we may see them for the long term.
Yeah,
We're heading into the second portion of licenses coming open, so we're going to see more different brands kind of pop open.
And you're basically now would be what, 2 of full
Headed-
legalization?
Yeah,
of
almost 2 years. We're heading into 2 years almost.
Year 3 of legalization, year 2 of rec sales.
Yeah, of adult sales. So
Yeah.
yeah, we're heading into the second year. We'll get more data. Year 5, we're going to have so much more data. We'll be almost a matured industry and program. However, even Canada is going through their second bubble right now.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens once federal regulations change. So
Oh, yeah.
that's all I have for the oversaturation thing for now. This is something that I'm always going to be talking about for the next, probably a couple of years.
Definitely.
So I'll keep you guys updated on what's going on. I just really wanted to touch base on this because there's so much negativity out there from the media, like, oh, the industry's in shambles. Oh my God, it's rocky, and it's only because they're listening to the people who aren't making it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And I mean, not everybody's struggling. I've seen mom and pop shops thriving.
Yeah, me too. I mean, some are opening up more stores.
Yeah, just like I mentioned, Monster House just opened up 2 locations out in Ruidoso. So
Yeah.
it's like, wow, like that's amazing to see because we want to see people who are local grow and have really good business and cater to the community, you know? So it's really awesome to see stuff like that.
Yeah, 100%. No, I'm glad that we're seeing it now happen. So just keep an eye out for all the changes and everything. Sipper Gumby is what I like to live by. So we're gonna move on to the last topic, guys. And this one I'll try to keep quick, but this one is super, super important. Recently, I got with a group of wonderful ladies, one being Valerie Hubbard, one of the OG advocates in the state who helped us get medical cannabis, Tracy Martinez, Nicole Jordan, and Karina Miramontes. We all kind of got together and we decided to do a cannabis industry town hall here in Las Cruces. And what this is going to do is it's going to be a chance for all of the cannabis industry, even the ancillary businesses. So if you have to get a license and you're still working with the cannabis industry, this is still for you. This isn't open to the public. This is going to be something that we're going to just cater straight to the industry. We want to hear what the industry has to say. What's working, what's not working. Give us some, personal testimonies. Let's hear what the actual industry has to say. Let's not hear just from the people that aren't making it, or a 6-person panel, that is cherry picked from the industry. Like you have a Swazi lawyer representative there, and you have all these other people. So it doesn't really tell the lawmakers exactly what the industry needs when only a small percentage of the industry is represented.
No, definitely. That's actually really awesome that you guys are actually doing something like that because it represents the people who are actually in that business and it actually gives those people a better chance of either growing and getting better or basically failing, So
100%.
Shout out to you guys.
I appreciate it, man. And I'm not trying to take, like all credit for this. Like these ladies they're working their ass off
No,
too.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I've met both Nicole and Tracy, and they're super awesome when it comes to stuff like this. So
yeah, they're killing it. They're doing a good job, and they're my advocate apprentices. I call them my Padawans.
There you go.
And they're learning a lot. They're young advocates, and they're very
Master
passionate.
Chad over here.
Advocate Jedi.
There you go.
So yeah, the reason why we did this town hall is we just really wanted to hear the input of the industry and everything, and it's really meant for us to tell our representatives what we want, because we actually invited a lot of representatives. We invited state representatives all the way from the governor. I invited her on Twitter, all the way down to city representatives,
Yeah, I
to
remember,
our city council.
we were talking about that.
Yeah, and I want you guys to know that some of our representatives will be there, especially city council members. Hopefully, the ones that can't make it that are in Santa Fe, they can tune in and watch. I had one on X or Twitter ask me. She was one of our representatives, if we're going to have a video option, and I am working on that. So I'm going to make sure that we get it. I'm thinking about putting on the Ask Chad Grassy Logic YouTube page, so you guys can watch it later too. However, if you do want your voice heard, it is better for you to attend the meeting, because I'm not going to have questions from the live coming over to what we're doing in the town hall. So if you want your voice heard, you're going to have to be here in public. It's going to be October 23rd, which is this coming Monday. It's going to be at 5 p.m. at 606 North Mesquite, Las Cruces. So it's going to be on Mesquite here in Cruces in town. I have the flyer going around, so if you guys don't get this, I have it on all my socials. I'm going to be posting it every day until the day of. So
yeah, the Cruces Craft team will also be sharing it as much as possible, just because we are supporting our team member. So
appreciate you.
Definitely.
Hell yeah, man. And this is something that's just important for everybody in the industry. If you can show up, please do. If you personally can't, as an owner, send a representative, send a manager, someone there that can relay this information, or that they can relay the information that you have to us, because we're going to try to get this to representatives. So when the next legislative session comes, which is 2 months away almost, essentially, we can be ready to go. Because what happened the last time, or last year, or this past year, when we had a 60-day session, because we're going into a 30-day session, we have less time, the industry didn't speak up. I know we hate the government, guys, but if you didn't want to deal with the government, you should have just stayed at home and trapped from your couch. That's just me being real.
And I
Like,
mean, yeah, at this point, if you're a legal business that operates in this industry, like you pay taxes,
yeah,
you know, so you have to comply.
yeah,
And if you have something you want to say, like this is a really great opportunity to say it, you
yeah,
know. So if you have anything you have questions on, or even just want to see changes on, like it starts here.
yeah.
So just remember that.
Yeah, 100%, you know, because it starts with a conversation. And if you want the industry to stay where it is, because I've heard all of you complain this and that, you know, and this needs to be changed, this needs to be changed. That's great, it does, but it won't get changed unless you say something.
Exactly.
And, you know, if you don't say something, someone else will, and they might not say it the way that you like, or they might
Yeah.
not suggest something that you like. So why allow that to happen in the first place?
Exactly.
So,
Like one of the biggest arguments is the capping, the licenses. It's
yeah.
if you don't want to, come and say something. If you
Yeah.
do, say it.
Yeah.
But
And I'm not going to stop you from that. This is all y'all's opinions. You know, this isn't my opinions or what I feel. This is what the industry feels. And so if you feel you want licenses closed, it's not going to stop me from putting it down.
definitely,
You know, this is something that isn't going to go away. And I've said that many times.
it's a valid argument.
It is. It really is. And it's something worth looking at. Just personally, I have my own opinions on it. But, you know, it's worth having a conversation as well in a town hall setting like this. So if you are a part of the industry, you do want to see the industry get better. You want your business to grow, to thrive. This is something that I feel that you should show up to. If you can make it, please do. If you can't, watch. But if you do want your input heard, you're going to have to come to the meeting itself. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. Don't try to bother the rest of the team. Everybody's really busy. I'll handle that part, you know. So if you have any questions, reach out to me on all my socials, Facebook, Instagram. I have them, you know, on my links. I'll have his on there, but I'm sure, you know, Cozy will be sharing some of the stuff too. I appreciate that. Yeah. So yeah, this is going to be on Monday again, 5 o'clock to 6:30. 1700 to 1830 for my military time friends out there. 606 North Mesquite, Las Cruces, New Mexico. Again, this is just for the industry. It's not open to the public. We're going to have something like that in the future for the public. And this is something that I really want to do ongoing, hopefully once a month or whatever for the town halls up until we have the legislative session. Hopefully we can get something in Albuquerque
Yeah,
going
that'd be
because that
really
would be
cool.
great. Yeah. So if there's anybody that has a space for us in Albuquerque to do something like this, reach out to me. Maybe we can figure something out in the next, you know, month and a half, 2 months. So do you have anything on this one?
No, just like I said, if you have anything that you want to see changed, anything you want to speak up about, this is a really great opportunity to do so. Not only am I here to support my friend with it, but I am also here to basically want to see change.
Yeah.
Because like I said, at the end of it, and like he said, it all starts with the conversation.
Yeah, 100%.
So if we don't talk about it, it's not a thing.
Yeah, because
So
I'm only one guy. You know, the advocate
yeah.
Chad guy can't tell, you know, all these representatives what the whole industry wants. You guys have to do it. My voice is only one voice, and it's better together. You know, when we all collectively come together and tell them what they want. And that's the way it works. They even said if the industry would have told us what we wanted, this bill probably would have passed and we would have got what we want. Micros would have got 1,000 plants or 2,000 plants. We may have got event licenses, you know, so keep that in mind.
Consumption,
Yeah,
stuff
outside
like that.
consumption. I mean, that's more of a rule thing that's been happening in counties, but I think it needs to be solidified.
Yeah,
you know, that they
definitely.
shouldn't be allowed to ban us from smoking outside. You know,
Yeah,
that's
no,
preferred.
definitely. Yeah, definitely.
That's preferred in most instances. So
Yeah.
that's all I have for this part. I just really wanted to get that information out. Keep in mind, if you hate the government, I'm sorry, you shouldn't have got a license. In the first place.
That's fair.
So yeah, it belongs to the government, not you. So one last thing, a little bit of bonus tidbit information before we get out of here. It looks like Dreams, the company, the cannabis company in the state, has acquired Sawmill Cannabis Company, and the CEO stated that that was the plan the entire time. So for yous out there, for all of you out there who are Sawmill fans or whatever, looks like your favorite company got bought up by Dreams, which is going to happen more and more. You know, once we start maturing more, we're going to see companies get bought up like this.
I mean, it could
So-
be a good thing. It could
Yeah.
be a bad thing. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
So,
Time will tell on this. You know, we'll see. So that's all I have for this week. Do you have anything before we get out of here?
no, just like I said, just keep an eye out on our Instagrams for all the big things that are coming up. I am running like a follower giveaway, but that's all through Instagram. You know,
Cool.
so if you see this whenever it comes out, as long as it's by November, there might be a giveaway going on.
Yeah.
3 different ones that I'm trying to do. So.
This is definitely going out today. So yeah, this
So,
will be out
yeah,
before then.
yeah, so then definitely keep an eye on my Instagram. Help me reach 1,000 followers, and I'll give away 6 different hash rolls to 6 different people at 3 different times. So maybe you might get lucky and get your Thanksgiving walk session from me. You might have your Christmas smoke or your New Year smoke. So keep an eye out. I just want to give back to the community and, help whoever wants to experience this, give them that experience hand rolled by me,
Nice.
so
Yeah.
yeah, just other than that, man, like I said, we have some really big things with Chris's Craft. We have some really big things with Headspace. If you need anything from me, you know where to find me. So
100%. Yeah. And for those out there who are curious about, hash holes, here's your opportunity to try one for free. So follow Cozy on Instagram. Make sure you follow my socials. I keep you guys up to date during the week before the show. So come back again next week. We are going to extend this season up until the week before Thanksgiving. Got more people that wanted to be on the show. So the last episode isn't going to be next week. It's going to be the 16th of November for season 1. Then we'll come back in January for season 2. Whole new season, new guests and everything. So
really excited to see those guests you get on.
oh, me too, man. I got a bunch of cool people and plans and work. So it'll be a fun time. So we'll have Cozy on again sometime. We'll have more rollers on. Maybe when we have the Joy Staccatos, we'll have you on.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Have Flea, Jet, Dabro, and Devil come by.
Oh, dude, that'd be all great. Have the whole team on here, do the whole roll thing. So
I mean, it'll be a little hectic, but we'll figure it out.
yeah, we'll get something done. It'll be a fun episode. So anyway, guys, I'm gonna let you guys out of here. I know this is a long episode, but we had a lot of great conversations going. Cozy, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
All right, cool. I'll see you guys next week. All right.